Hey everybody, Andrew Hoty from Raw Takes with a special announcement. Would you like the chance to win a $50 NFL Team Shop gift card? Well, here's how you can do it. Enter the Raw Takes and You giveaway, and it's very, very simple. All you gotta do is take a quick video of yourself for about 30 seconds to 1 minute, and you just gotta explain a hot topic in sports or a debate topic or whatever you feel is necessary as long as it's sports related, and send it to the show using the hashtag HotyRawContest, or just send it to me directly on Hoty Raw Takes on Instagram, or you can find me at Hoty Andrew on X. Submit your video and let me know that you're interested in possibly winning that $50 NFL Team Shop gift card, and you'll be entered to win the contest. We'll also play your video right here on Raw Takes with Andrew Hoty. Not just will you win the gift card, though, you'll also get a chance to debate me on the show. But will you win that debate is going to be the question. Make sure to enter the Raw Takes and You giveaway. It's really simple. Just use that hashtag, reach out to me directly, and send me a video 30 seconds to 1 minute, and you could enter to win that NFL gift card and a chance to debate me. Also, every edition of Raw Takes with Andrew Hoty is brought to you by Window and Bath Depot in Westlake, Ohio, the highest rated remodeling group right here in Cleveland. You gotta just visit their showroom in Westlake, Ohio and discover the Depot difference. Window and Bath Depot. Welcome to today's edition of Raw Takes with Andrew Hoty. You just heard about the Raw Takes and You giveaway. Give it a shot. Just film a 30-second to 1 minute video of yourself giving me a hot sports take, and you will not only play that clip on the show, but you'll have a chance to win an NFL $50 Team Shop gift card. Whichever video gets the most likes that we play here on the show, and I'm going to try to get to as many submissions as I can, depending on how many enter the contest as well. Obviously, we're still a relatively small podcast, so I'm not expecting like a million entries, but out of the entries we do play, I'm going to make sure to play all of them if I can, and not only that, you'll have a chance to also debate me if you get the most likes on that video. So make sure to submit your entries into the Raw Takes and You giveaway, totally free, no obligation to buy anything. All you got to do is just send me a video, 30 seconds to a minute, of what a hot sports topic is, and I'll send your way, if you get the most likes, a $50 NFL Team Shop gift card plus an opportunity to debate me on this show. But I can't guarantee you're going to win that debate. I'll probably win that debate. I'm just kidding. We'll let the viewers decide who wins that debate. But make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the show as always. Our social media links are right there below, so if you want to enter that Raw Takes and You contest, please make sure to reach out to me on social media, preferably Twitter, X, and Instagram for this contest. We do have the Facebook page, of course. If you want to submit it on Facebook, that's totally fine as well. But preferably, try to reach out to me on X. You can reach out to me directly at Hoty Andrew or Hoty Raw Takes on Instagram, and we'll get those submissions in. You can also use the hashtag HotyRawContest. That's how we'll do this, and it's totally free, obviously. You're just using a hashtag or reaching out to me, and then you'll have a chance to win that $50 NFL Team Shop gift card and appear on Raw Takes with Andrew Hoty to debate me. But we got a lot of news to get to, so let's get to it. Obviously, social media links in the description below, but a lot of comments to get to as well. We had a slew of them on one of my recent reels, in particular the one about my thoughts on the Super Bowl. So I want to give some shout-outs out to the people who give some comments to us. So let's start things off with Eliza Lucas 4311, and if I pronounce anything wrong, I apologize. But Eliza Lucas 4311, Chiefs 3 fire emojis, Mahomes 3 fire emojis, and I did use the hashtag Chiefs there, so I'm expecting a lot of Chiefs fans to reach out. All right, Brian Gamber 6051. I hope I got that right. Brian Gamber 6051. As a KC fan, I don't care for Jackson either, but haven't heard his name hardly at all in a couple years. Brittany seems kind of snobby, but looks good in Sports Illustrated. Okay. Kelsey is the same bro that Gronk is. Okay, that's your take on it. I have a little bit of differences on a lot of that stuff, but that's from Brian Gamber 6051. 30 dirty 30 30. So 30 the number, dirty 30 30. Laugh my explicitive ass off, and that explicitive starts with a PH, not an F. So I want to emphasize the difference there as well. And then Roldan Flynn 4531. I bet the refs are rooting for the Chiefs. I don't disagree with that, but I'm not going to just instantly assume NFL games are rigged. And then, let's see here. I have a few more that are listed over here. Okay, Eagles flown south 7728. Fly, Eagles, fly. I use the Eagles hashtag too in this video as well, but we had a lot of comments. And then we had Jeremy Mitchell 5998 with a few crying emojis. So, Jeremy Mitchell 5998. As I said, I hope I pronounced everything correctly. And we did have one more comment. This was kind of a diss at me, but that's okay. I just like to get as many comments as possible. And it's You're wearing Browns gear. Your QB is one of the most unlikable ones on earth. And I'm not going into any of the off-the-field stuff or anything like that, but you can just talk about Deshaun Watson, the unlikable football player. I don't disagree. I actually responded saying, yeah, I'm not a big Deshaun Watson fan at this point. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But it's okay. I want disagreement, too. We give everyone a shout-out. You're watching. You're listening to the video. I want to give everyone a fair shout-out. You took the time to respond to a Raw Takes clip. I want to take the time to respond to you any way I can. So those are the latest shout-outs, and we got to give one more. Joan Hoty, my grandmother, of course, commenting, liking the plug for Window and Bath Depot, my dad's company as well. I also work for Window and Bath Depot, so giving the shout-out to Joan Hoty for her comment there. And a good buddy of mine who's disguising himself under the name Ryan Leaf. I went to high school with this guy, by the way. He's calling me out for saying what's likable about Tom Brady. I get it. There's been some scandals in terms of the cheating and whatnot in the NFL games, but you know what? I still prefer Tom Brady over Patrick Mahomes. That's just my thoughts on it. He's a lot more likable than Patrick Mahomes, despite some of his flaws. All right, we got a lot of news to get to, so let's get to it. Raw Takes with Andrew Hoty. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Let's get things started with that shocking trade that took place in the middle of the night on Saturday. I did a separate video on that. You can check it out on the Raw Takes channel. It's about, I want to say 11 minutes long, just reacting to the Luka Doncic trade, the Cleveland Cavaliers beating the Mavericks immediately after. It happened literally in the middle of the night. I got home, got a text from my buddy after we hung out for a little bit, and he texted me and he said, Sham Sharania, Luka Doncic is going to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, a few picks and other players and to be named in the deal. And I was just like, whoa, that's kind of a shocker. I don't think anyone expected in the middle of the night a trade like that to happen. It was kind of done in a shady way. I gave my full thoughts on that video this past Sunday on Short Take Weekend, but I'll just tell you what, it's not only the shadiest trade, I think, in pro sports history at this point. There's no gain in it whatsoever for the Dallas Mavericks. And listen, the Dallas Mavericks are bubbling 500 right now, so maybe they're thinking we're not really going anywhere anyway with Luka Doncic, so let's get some assets from him and rebuild. But why would you want to rebuild when you're coming off a finals appearance? And you truly don't know until you make the playoffs. I think the Mavericks were going to make the playoffs either way. So I don't get that deal from the Dallas Mavericks perspective at all. And now they're like a retirement home like the LA Clippers are. A lot of old players, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson. All these players not in their prime anymore and well past it. Not just not in their prime, they're well past their prime. Even though they still have some good talented stuff they could do, they're not going to do much without Luka Doncic on the roster. And obviously from the benefit of the LA Lakers, though, you have a superstar who's coming in there who could probably help you put your chips to the center now and win you a title with LeBron James. LeBron James probably going for his last hurrah here. Maybe LeBron James is going to Jeannie Buss saying, I've already done everything I've accomplished in my career. I'm calling it quits after this season. I already got to play with my son too, so there's not much more I want to do in the NBA. So maybe Jeannie Buss is thinking we need that superstar post-LeBron James, because when LeBron James retires, we're going to need people who want to come to watch Los Angeles Lakers play basketball. So Jeannie Buss may be thinking we needed to make this move to get a superstar at some point to keep the Lakers relevant post-LeBron James. And this move, I think, does both of those. So I see the Lakers benefit completely, not so much the Dallas Mavericks benefit. And I think it stinks for Dallas Mavericks fans. There's also, I believe, reports going on that Luka already bought a $15 million house down there. This is business, and this is how business is done. But that's the situation. Luka Doncic is now a Los Angeles Laker, and Anthony Davis is now a Dallas Maverick. A very shocking trade, to say the least, that literally I think nobody saw coming. Nobody. If you were to say Jimmy Butler got traded in the middle of the night, even though these middle-of-the-night trades are kind of shady, I don't think Jimmy Butler getting traded would have surprised anybody because we already know that situation in Miami. How about if, De'Aaron Fox got traded the next day? De'Aaron Fox, if he got traded in the middle of the night, is that much of anything? Sham Sharania literally reported that on Sunday. And I think that's a good move. The Kings, though, with De'Aaron Fox, were doing okay at times, but the Kings have definitely fallen apart to where they were. But yeah, obviously De'Aaron Fox now on the move. An interesting move to say the least, but a good move overall, probably for both of those teams. So yeah, I think that's another interesting trade spectacle that took place, but I'm still just stunned by Luka Doncic becoming a Los Angeles Laker. It's absolutely astonishing to me. And when you look at the Mavericks right after, they lost to the Cavs. I'm just looking it up now. I believe it was the record for points and a half for the Cleveland Cavaliers with 91. and I believe also a record in points for a quarter, but you could check me on that. I'm just trying to check myself right now on that one. At least the first one I said for points in a quarter. For points in a quarter, it's absolutely on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, for points and a half, excuse me. That's the points and a half one. I just wanted to check myself there. Points and a half, Cavs had 91, a franchise record. 50 points, I believe, is a record for points in a quarter. So you could check me on that, but that's where I believe. It was astonishing. And if you're the Dallas Mavericks, you're so stunned, and they deserve scrutiny. They lost a game by 43 points in the NBA. That deserves scrutiny. But, to come off that shocking trade and then have an abysmal performance immediately after against the Cleveland Cavaliers. As a Cavs fan, I'll benefit from it. The Cavs are now 40-9 and they're on a roll, and they play Boston tonight. That's going to be a big game on TNT. I'm excited. I think the Cavs have a good shot of winning tonight, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics win. That's going to be one heck of a game, and I'm excited. We'll get to that in a second. I think the big thing, though, for this Mavericks team is that we're just so stunned and essentially hung over from the middle of the night trade where Luka Doncic is all of a sudden a Los Angeles Laker. That just shocked the team to the core, and I think they're going to take a little bit of time to rejuvenate and recoup from that, even if they get into contention, which I don't know if they will. So that's just my thoughts on that. Even Mark Cuban, who's only a part-time owner now, not a part-time, but a part owner of the Dallas Mavericks, was stunned by the deal. So, it's unbelievable that transpired. I think a lot of us are still shocked to the core by it, but take it for what it's worth. And the Los Angeles Lakers definitely putting their chips to the middle. But I will say this, I don't think they're better than OKC. I don't think they're better than Houston. I don't think they're better than Memphis, nor do I think they're better than the Denver Nuggets, who they would currently see in a 7-game series right now at this very moment if the season were over. So I don't think they're better than those 4 teams ahead of them right now. And we'll have to see what transpires as the NBA regular season continues, because that could put them over the edge a little bit, but I'm not so sure that's going to be the case. So we'll see what takes place. I'm still not a believer in the Lakers this season. Long term, if they could build a little bit more of a team, they also need some more defensive help. Let's get back to De'Aaron Fox for a minute. San Antonio Spurs, obviously a great addition for San Antonio. We see Victor Wembanyama. Did you see that shot he took the other day where it hits the rim, bounces in the air, and then falls right in the hoop? Wembanyama is slowly becoming one of the best players in the NBA. He is going to be really, really good. And, of course, they let San Antonio have him, or at least the lottery did. But we know what happens when San Antonio gets their hands on top talent. They produce at a massive, massive scale under Greg Popovich, who is the longest tenured coach in all of pro sports. So that is a huge deal for San Antonio, I think, to get a guy like De'Aaron Fox in the building. Help them try to at least push to make the play-in tournament this year. I'm not so sure San Antonio is going to get to the playoffs per se, but I think they find a way to fight for it. And I think a move of getting for De'Aaron Fox, that puts you in the conversation if you're San Antonio to try to at least push to get into something. And, it's so weird to see the Spurs have a few bad seasons in a row. Not going to lie to you, because I'm so used to them being as dominant as they are the last 20 years after COVID, really, when San Antonio started falling apart. But they're starting to rejuvenate, and we already know the organization they are and the history they have. So, move for getting De'Aaron Fox. I think that could be a great complementary piece for Victor Wembanyama as they continue to build that thing down in San Antonio, which is, in my opinion, one of the best small markets in the NBA. I love the Spurs market. I love their fans. Even though they did sweep the Cavs in 2007, that doesn't bother me as much. It's really easy to root for the San Antonio Spurs, and Tim Duncan was so likable. Underrated compared to Kobe Bryant. They were kind of in the same area, but we could area. But we could talk about that in a different video. But I like that move by the San Antonio Spurs, and I think that's definitely a win for the Spurs and maybe for the Kings. Domantas Sabonis is underrated. He's probably playing at an all-star level. Can you build a little bit around him, and the Kings, can they get things going a little bit? Obviously, after firing Mike Brown after the season they had a few years ago, it seems like the Sacramento Kings have returned to being the Sacramento Kings we knew them to be beforehand. So there's a lot of work to do in Sacramento, but we'll see what transpires after a move like that. And then, of course, you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers right now, 40-9. They're about to play the Boston Celtics for not division supremacy or conference supremacy per se, but for a chance of maybe this is the Eastern Conference Finals preview. It could be. I would love to rematch with Boston. I think the Cavs match up very well with Boston because they're a little undersized. I think that helps the Cavs in a 7-game series. I think tonight it'll help the Cavs possibly win a game against the Celtics. And I think the Celtics are going to go guns a-blazing on this one because, the Celtics, no, they're not the number 1 seed right now in the Eastern Conference, but we know what their pedigree is. We know that Joe Mazzulla knows how to coach basketball. We know that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that's a 1-2 punch in terms of superstar players. We know that Kristaps Porzingis, what he can do when he's on that sideline. We know they have Drew Holiday. We know off the bench you have Pritchard and guys like that. The Boston Celtics probably have the second best bench in the NBA, maybe the best bench in the NBA compared to what the Cleveland Cavaliers provide you with Ty Jerome as a 1-2 punch. There's so much going on in this game, and I'm really excited to see what transpires tonight. Can Kenny Atkinson out-coach Joe Mazzulla? I think Kenny Atkinson has much more veteran coaching experience, but Joe Mazzulla already has a championship pedigree. So this matchup, I think, is going to be really intriguing. And even last year, with J.B. Bickerstaff and the Cavs losing to the Celtics in 5 games, even though they lost to the Celtics in 5 games, I still thought the Cavs matched up with them very, very well. Enough so to win a game in that series and to at least somewhat make the Celtics' life difficult offensively. And I think Donovan Mitchell somewhat did a good job of that. But the Celtics obviously still took it to the Cavs nevertheless. There's still something about the Celtics-Cavs matchup I really like for the Cavs. And I personally hope this ends up being the Eastern Conference Finals. New York is really good too. They've kind of turned on the Jets as of late. You look at what Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns and the chemistry they're starting to build. Having said that, though, I think the Knicks are not nearly as good as the Celtics, and I don't think the Knicks and the Cavs, as a matchup perspective, would really either way go for the Cavs. I think that's a much more favorable to the Cavs than it was a few years back when the Cavs just absolutely got obliterated in that series by the Knicks in 5 games because the Knicks were just much more physical. I think the Cavs bring so much more physicality now than they did a few years ago, but they're still soft in some arenas. If they were to make a move before the deadline, I'd say maybe get a physical defensive player. That's really about it. And I still think they have some physically defensive players. Look at Evan Mobley. He's not as soft as he looked 2 years ago. He's already an all-star caliber player. So Evan Mobley defensively, I think, is going to bring it for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we'll just have to see what transpires. But the Cavs, they also have more all-stars than any other team in the NBA with 3. I know I was making a case that the Cavs should have 4, but they have 3. That's fine. I think that's deserved by Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell. I want to see how this transpires. This is one heck of a basketball team, and they got a big test tonight against the Boston Celtics. I think the Cavs could do it. I really do. And if they don't do it, I'm still not as worried about it because I want to see this in the playoffs. I don't want to just see this in the regular season. The Celtics and Cavs, to me, just feels like an Eastern Conference Finals matchup, and I'm really, really pumped to see how that transpires. All right, let's move on to the NFL. Obviously, the Super Bowl taking place this weekend. The Pro Bowl took place on Sunday, but here's how little I know about the Pro Bowl. I didn't watch. I didn't care. I don't think many of us cared about the Pro Bowl. I care about who makes the Pro Bowl, who the Pro Bowl players are, but at this point, I don't even know if I care about that. Why is Drake May a Pro Bowler? I'm sorry. Does he have a high ceiling? I think he could be a really good quarterback in the NFL, but I still think he needs a lot more time. He's not a Pro Bowler. I'm sorry. That's part of why I don't like the Pro Bowl anymore either. I do care about who makes the list, but at this point, if you're going to make Drake May a Pro Bowler, that's just ridiculous. I don't even know who won the Pro Bowl. Was it the AFC or the NFC? I don't even care. That's my thoughts on the Pro Bowl for this week. Having said that, the Super Bowl, obviously, the media is starting, and Travis Kelce's already coming out talking about, being hated and all that. And same thing with Patrick Mahomes. And that's fine. I actually respect athletes when they talk about, they're great. They are great. They're great athletes. The Chiefs are a great organization. We know the pedigree they have. And now they have DeAndre Hopkins. Now they have Kareem Hunt. They already have Harrison Butker. But, the Kansas City Chiefs are just championship pedigree all over the place, up and down. So, yeah, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the game. I already predicted 31-28 Chiefs over the Eagles, but that's just my thoughts on where everything stands with the Super Bowl right now. I'll go into more dynamics about that game on Thursday's show, so stay tuned for that. But the Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles, I'm excited to see how things happen on the Philadelphia's perspective a little bit more as well, because to me, this could be a really big shootout game. I do love Saquon Barkley. Is that going to be too much for the Chiefs' defense? I don't think so. The Chiefs' defense has actually been probably more so why they've won games the last couple seasons as compared to why they lost. And obviously the clutchness of Mahomes and Kelce. And we know I've been critical of them because I don't like them like I like Brady and Gronk. And even then I didn't like the Patriots because they were winning. But that's just my thoughts on the situation. Yes, the Chiefs' dynasty makes me wish we can go back to the Patriots' dynasty. Having said that, Taylor Swift was also at the Grammys this past weekend. I didn't hear any word of Travis Kelce being there. All I know is like Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, and Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga and all them were there. So I don't know if Travis Kelce was at the Grammys, but if you want to let me know, leave a comment below. I didn't watch the Grammys, so I mean I can't analyze that, nor is this a Grammys review show. But you know what? Is Taylor Swift going right to the Super Bowl now? I guess we'll find out. All right. Let's get to now the big news of yesterday, especially here locally. And on the entire landscape of the NFL, Myles Garrett wants to be traded from the Cleveland Browns. I don't blame him one bit. And I made a small video yesterday that's a minute long about why I'm fine with Myles Garrett going somewhere else. He deserves better than the Cleveland Browns. He's been here 8 seasons. Their first year with Myles Garrett, they went 0-16. 0-16. Then the same old Browns topic started to die a little bit because Baker Mayfield came to town. They go 7-8-1. They had a little bit of a down year in 2019 where they go 6-10, but then they're back in the playoff conversation at 11-5 for the first time since 2002. They win a playoff game, and then in 2021 and 22, 2 down years, 8-9, 7-10. So still some losing seasons, but at least you're somewhat staying in the mix until a certain point late in the year. Then in 2023, you make the playoffs and your defense is the highlight. Even though Joe Flacco was as good as he was at the end of the season with that run, we all know that the defense was the story of the 2023 Cleveland Browns. And then 2024, it's an absolute disaster. So Andrew Berry came out and said that the plan was to take Myles Garrett from Cleveland to Canton. And Myles Garrett, in this trade request, after he was thanking the city of Cleveland. And I think he's done a lot of tremendous things for the Northeast Ohio area. I think he's a Cleveland Brown for life no matter what. He got his start here, even if he plays elsewhere, and he already owns a stake in the Cavs. So his roots are still in Northeast Ohio, and I think we can respect that as Cleveland Browns fans. But having said that, he did chime in and say the goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It was to go to the Super Bowl. And he's absolutely right. Joe Thomas went from Cleveland to Canton. You know how many playoff appearances Joe Thomas has? 0, and it's not his fault. The Cleveland Browns were a mess all 10 years of his career. All 10 years. The first year Joe Thomas had as a Cleveland Brown, they went 10-6, and then they never had a winning record again. And the last year, on his last snap in the NFL, because of an injury, it was an 0-16 season. So they wasted Joe Thomas's career. Do we want to see that happen with a Hall of Fame talent like Myles Garrett? I don't. I really don't. Myles Garrett has more playoff appearances than Joe Thomas, which is good, but you know, Myles Garrett deserves much better than what the Cleveland Browns have given him. We don't know what the quarterback situation is. I think Myles Garrett's looking at the organization saying, what is the objective here? This clearly looks like it's heading towards a rebuild. And if you look at the talent that's on the Cleveland Browns roster right now, if Myles Garrett's out the door, what's the use of keeping David Njoku? What's the use of keeping Jerry Jeudy even? What's the use of keeping Joel Bitonio? Maybe he should retire at this point for his own sake. Why be a Cleveland Brown anymore? He might be someone that goes from Cleveland to Canton, just like Joe Thomas did. I mean, honestly, what's the use of... I'm going to say Nick Chubb stays because he had a little bit of a down year next year. So Nick Chubb's not going anywhere. But what is the use of David Njoku staying here? What is the use of Jerry Jeudy staying here? You could even say Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah on the defensive side of the ball. You could say Grant Delpit. He signed an extension. What's the point of keeping him? What's the point of keeping Denzel Ward? This to me looks like if Myles Garrett's the first domino to fall, every domino is about to fall. And the Cleveland Browns just should get as many assets as they can and start the rebuild. Does it stink? Yes. But if you're in Cleveland right now, you have the Cavaliers at 40-9, and you have the Guardian season coming up. Yes, the Guardians have made some questionable offseason moves, but damn it, Chris Antonetti always finds a way to win. And I'm sure Stephen Vogt is going to have somewhat of that Chris Antonetti pedigree in him to manage a really good ball club yet again. So you have the Guardians in town, and you definitely have the Cleveland Cavaliers in town. That's much better product than the Cleveland Browns right now. We will survive a Cleveland Browns rebuild. We've been doing it since 1999 when the team first got here after they moved to Baltimore. It's been a Cleveland Browns rebuild since 99. Let's just call it what it is. 3 playoff appearances, 1 playoff win, and numerous losing seasons. Every denominator under the number 8. The Browns have won that many games. Actually, I think it's under the number 11. We've never had a 12-win season or more. It's been 11 every other way. We've had 7-9s. We've had 4-12s, 5-11s. We've had many 5-11s and 4-12s. We've had 3-13s. We had an 0-16, a 1-15. And then we had 3 winning seasons. 2002, 9-7. 4 winning seasons. Check that. I'm sorry. 2002, 9-7. 2007, 10-6. 2020, 11-5. And 2023, 11-6. That's your resume. 4 winning seasons since 1999. 3 playoff appearances out of that. The Browns are a joke right now. They just are a joke. I believe Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry may be able to fix some of this. Andrew Berry still does a great job in trades, but he doesn't draft very well. And that makes me nervous if you're accumulating all these assets. Is Andrew Berry going to pick the right guys? I don't know if he will. I still think Kevin Stefanski is a great head coach. And I want to keep him here in Cleveland because I think he's resilient and could find ways to win games. And, maybe you move off of Myles Garrett, you get some good assets, and the Browns do find a way to be competitive in 2025. But the question here is, Myles Garrett doesn't see the competitiveness in the Cleveland Browns right now. Why should any of us? That gives me no optimism that the Cleveland Browns have any competitiveness in them. And then you might think, well, are they going to restart the organization again? We're going to go through another coaching search, another GM search. Maybe we will by 2026. I don't know. I don't want it to get to that point. I do like Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski personally. Andrew Berry, I have less faith in him than I have in Kevin Stefanski, but this is the situation right now. And it sucks. It really, really does. And if I'm Myles Garrett, I want no part of it. I want to go win. I want to go win a Super Bowl. Does that mean you should trade him to a team like the Kansas City Chiefs? Of course not. Don't trade him to the Chiefs. Don't trade him to the Bills. I would trade him to the NFC. Look at maybe a Detroit or a Washington Commanders. That's what I would do if I'm the Cleveland Browns. Look at him as to a contender over there, or a borderline contender. Don't trade him in the AFC. Trade him over to the NFC. And as Browns fans, we should go root for Myles Garrett to go win somewhere else. If he's a Detroit Lion, for example, next year, Detroit's only right up the road. Browns fans could possibly go see him play there. I don't want to say Pittsburgh because you won't want to trade in the division anyway. I already had a friend of mine reach out to me saying, maybe he should come right down 71 to Cincinnati. No, thank you. And that's not going to happen anyway with an in-division trade. But get some assets out of Myles Garrett and start the rebuild. I think it's clearly obvious to everyone at this point. Some good players are going to say, some are going to go. Myles Garrett, I think, is the first domino to fall of many. And the Cleveland Browns really have to focus in on this 2025 draft because the rebuild is here. Maybe you do it quickly and you're able to figure out a situation and have a Bo Nix type of season or have a Jaden Daniels type of season. Although a Jaden Daniels type of season with a new quarterback is rare, so I'm not saying that's going to happen. The expectations, I think, for the Browns next year, be competitive. If Kevin Stefanski keeps his job, I think he has to go 9-8. If he misses the playoffs, that's fine at 9-8. But at least it's a winning record and he can keep his job, and maybe the Browns find some success with a young quarterback or a veteran quarterback. I don't know. But Myles Garrett, I think, is the first domino to fall of many, and I think that it's heading to a rebuild. And I really think, as of right now, Myles Garrett was the iceberg to the Browns' Titanic. And it may be the first domino to fall of many in 2025. But we'll have to see what takes place. Obviously, there's a whole draft ahead of us, whole free agency. A lot going on in Cleveland right now. And I think Browns fans in particular, the energy's out of the room when it comes to the Browns. And I say we take that energy, let's put it in the Cleveland Cavaliers. They got a big one against the Boston Celtics tonight. And let's wait for the Cleveland Guardians to see what they do in the baseball season. We have 2 teams right now that we could trust and believe in that'll make it competitive all season long. I don't think that's going to be the case for the Browns as of right now, especially after this Myles Garrett news. We can stay patient and hopeful because Cleveland Browns fans really are the best in the world. That's it for today's edition of Raw Takes with Andrew Hoty. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. The Raw Takes and You contest. It starts, by the way, February 11th through March 11th. I want to specify that. February 11th, a week from today, we will start the submissions. And then on March 11th, we will announce the winner. But we will take all the submissions until March 4th. Use the hashtag RawHotyContest. Raw Hoty Contest, yes. Or reach out to me on social media at HotyAndrew on Twitter X or Instagram at HotyRawTakes. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Hope you have a good one. We'll see you on Thursday. We'll talk about that big old Super Bowl and review the Cavs-Celtics game and much more in the NBA. Have a good one, everybody.